Cybernation Uncensored.
Oh no, we're having technical difficulties already.
Oh no.
But we are online, so welcome everyone. Tonight, or today, we are playing Vampire the Masquerade, something a little darker. So, before we get started with the stream, why don't we go around the table and meet everyone who's playing on this table and introduce your characters as well. Let's start with Vamp. Why don't you go ahead?
Hello, I am Vampire Bites. Been a friend of the channel for a very long time, and I'm happy to be back in the hot seat. I will be playing Vivian Devereaux, who is a French immigrant vampire of the clan Ventrue. A little bit of a blue blood, if you will.
Okay. GM?
Hi, my name's Tom, or GM Runs Game. I am playing Morgan Mullivan, who is a vet student who hails from Scotland and now finds himself in the world of darkness.
Lovely. Ada?
Hello, my name is Ada. Also Ada Kills on Twitch. I am playing Nora Crane, who is a Malkavian, and she's just sort of a very creepy, unsettling individual who is obsessed with the world of darkness that is vampires.
And finally, Riley.
Hi everyone, I'm Riley Manis. It's been a while since I've gotten to be here, but I'm so excited to be back with Cybernation. I will be playing Drake Veloci, a Italian descendant of some immigrants in New York, and has now moved over to our lovely city.
Great. And you four are going to be our vampires for this evening. Now, before we get started, this is going to be a rather dark podcast, so if anyone needs a break, please feel free to take one. So, our chronicle begins in the Midwest, in Chicago, Illinois. It is dark, it is humid, and we're just coming off of a very harsh winter. For most people, for most normal people, they go about their day as usual. They brew their morning coffee. Some of them buy it, whether it's from a 7-Eleven or a Starbucks. They go about their day complaining about their jobs, some of them working more jobs than others, just to make ends meet. But that no longer matters to the four of you, because you're dead, as you will soon find out. Our first scene opens up with this panning shot of a dilapidated warehouse. The place has been abandoned for many years and has become something of a homeless camp. The exterior shows all of the windows have been boarded up. Everything's been closed off. The main doors have been chained shut. The interior shows what was the remnants of a former shipping warehouse. You have some of those wooden platforms preparing shipments for forklifts that are no longer operational. Destroyed, exposed wiring, pipes that are now leaking, and free bodies. For three of you, you are stuck here. You're unsure where you are, where you were, or what you were doing. But when you wake up, it's so dark in here that you don't really know what time it is. There's barely any light for you to reference. But none of that matters, because as you wake up, the only thing that matters is there is a very strong, difficult, and annoying pounding in your head that you can't get rid of. It's eating away at you. You can't think, can't feel, can't move. You're just hungry. Very, very insatiably, impossibly hungry that you can't explain. The pain is not in your stomach, it's in your head. Like a migraine. The next thing that you see is darkness. Something happened. You felt something in your body. You're not sure what, but you certainly felt it. So, there, the next thing that you're privy to, the next thing that you see, you're in a room. No longer in that warehouse. No longer where you were. You are now in a dark room with just a singular fluorescent light hovering over the three of you. You are chained to a metal chair that is bolted on the cement floor. That hunger has subsided ever so slightly. But the first immediate thing to the three of you, there is a metallic taste in your mouth. A strong taste. You've had your baby teeth as children removed before. You might have been punched once or twice, maybe you bit your lip. But you're familiar with that taste as this sort of coppery feeling of blood. And it's very prominent. It's the only thing you taste. The sickening thing is you are enjoying it. You like it. You revel in it. Then you notice the other two. You notice each other. From left to right, Nora, you are tied to the chair, chained to a chair. Right next to Drake. And on his left, Morgan. The three of you probably don't know each other. Maybe you've taken the train once or twice together. Maybe you've seen each other around the streets. But right now, the three of you are tied together here. Unsure of what's happening. What would you like to do?
What is this place? Morgan's going to try and rock back and forth or twist his wrists.
All you hear is the rattling of chains.
All right, easy now. God,
I'm sort of just like smiling uncontrollably at the situation.
You know why you're here.
Do you have something to do with this? Why are you smiling in a situation like this?
What? You don't get what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? What do you mean?
Can't you taste that?
That tastes like someone on the subway got upset I took their seat. What?
You enjoy it though, don't you?
He's unfortunately right. Delicious. You want more.
I don't like that you're right as much as I don't like your enthusiasm about it. If you're so privy to this information, could you enlighten us a little bit then?
Well, I've been waiting for this day for months now, I think. I think we've just been turned.
Turned upside down, maybe. You seem to know quite a lot that's going on here. Maybe you shouldn't be tied up. Maybe you should be stood in front of us. What do you mean when you say turned?
Vampires, obviously.
Vampires?
Yes.
Okay. I think I understand why you're tied up now.
All right, I'm gonna turn to Morgan. All right, I think this is you and me, man. I feel like you're on the same page as me with this, right? Am I crazy? Or...
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna have to deal with this one.
Okay. All right. Great.
All right, everyone, just stay calm. Is there anything we can? So the room is dark, is it?
It's dark, but there's just that one light swinging overhead, like an interrogation light. It's this annoying yellow light that's just with a little shade over it. But that changes soon enough when the doors open. It goes through, and walking forward, there's a large man. Full suit, expensive, African American. He looks annoyed. Standing next to him, another gentleman, this time more casual wear. Slightly, both men are bald, but the one standing next to the man in the suit has like a very tight buzz cut. The man looks to the three of you. Well, this is a problem. Do we know who did it? No, sir. Just found them like that. 3 dead mortals, though. Both of them look to the side, and if the 3 of you follow that line of sight of where they're looking, there are 3 bodies in that room. Just off to the corner, there's enough light that you can see a little bit of it. That's a problem. Huh.
It might be some type of a mistake here. You have me tied up with some people of differing character. Can you help me?
There's no mistake. Except for the 3 of you. This is what's going to happen. You are going to be unchained. And you are going to come willingly. And if you do not, I promise you, your night is going to get much worse. Do not try to fight it.
Nora's just like shaking with excitement and also anxiety as well.
He speaks, and there are 3 of you. 2 of them. They don't look particularly difficult to overpower between the 3 of you, but it's hard to say. It's anyone's game at this point, because when he speaks, and while again he does look like he's not too hard to overpower, there's something menacing about these 2. Something dangerous. Something brutal. Something about how he speaks makes you unwilling to fight back. or at least makes you not want to test his patience. But the other man, a little more slender than him in casual clothing, does undo your chains, and he doesn't take a key out. He takes his bare hands and rips them open with impossible strength. But squeezes both fingers inside the manacles that attach you and just snaps them open for all three of you. And he does look at the three of you in the eye as he does it, making it very aware he could do the same to you without a moment's hesitation.
Nora just kind of starts giggling at the gesture of releasing the chains, and unmatching their captors, she is looking them very firmly towards the eyes.
Now, the suited gentleman said, "You will follow." And this time, it's different. Because this time your feet move without thinking. You have to follow. You will follow. That's not a choice. That's not a choice you're capable of making anymore. You are forced to follow him. He takes you to a large 16-wheeler semi and puts the three of you in the back. Once you enter, from the outside, it looks like a regular, semi-truck. Once you enter inside, it's different. Because the inside is reinforced. Heavy-duty steel, some titanium. But you're alone here. Would the three of you like to have a bit of a conversation as this semi-truck's engine begins to roar and you begin to feel it move from wherever you were to wherever you're going?
Morgan, it will move towards the door that we were put through into this truck and try it, turning and looking at Drake.
Might as well, right? And Drake will come over and see if help is needed, and give it if it is.
Try to open.
Nora's just gonna sit down against the wall.
You try to open it. You do your best. It's not moving. This place isn't budging. However, since Nora's just sitting by the wall and the two of you are sort of moving around checking the truck, you will notice that there is a large cooler inside that truck. And inside that cooler are bags of donated blood. Not the kind that you find in the blood banks that have been processed, but the ones with the Red Cross logo on them. Freshly donated. And to the three of you, at this point, it might as well be a Capri-Sun. Because that's looking very tasty right now. And it is very disturbing that you think that way.
Don't understand why I'm feeling this way. I'll sit down beside Nora. Do you know anything else?
Not really. This isn't exactly the scenario I had pictured, but I'm just kind of going with it.
I can see that. My name is Morgan, by the way. I have no business being here. Nice to meet you, Nora.
Nice to meet you too.
What's your name, big guy?
Drake. And he takes a second because he's stuck in thought. He's he's struggling. Why can't he remember what was happening? Why is the last thing on his mind what's just happening and not what was happening before? Surely I was doing something.
Would any of you like to try to remember?
Absolutely.
Great. So this is a roll for intelligence and resolve. What you do on Forge is you click on resolve, and then it'll prompt you to pick another thing. You just pick intelligence.
Gotcha. Do we have a hunger at the moment, or multiple?
Just one for now.
Just one. You got it.
Then confirm it. That's 4 for Drake. If anyone else would like to, you are free to do so. But for now, Drake. It was a normal evening for you. So what does a normal evening for Drake tend to look like?
If I wasn't at the college doing work with the students, I probably would have had a session to try and make rent, taking photos of someone who hired me, or maybe working with a student on a project of theirs, just, you know, probably either at my home studio or on the campus.
So, doing work for some students. Again, normal, mundane, but one night, last night, you think? There was a student that came by, but you don't recognize them. He claimed to be a transfer. The rest of it is hazy, because he claimed to be a transfer and you remember the feeling of being safe. Like there wasn't a problem, like, oh yeah, transfer. Maybe you just forgot to note his name. Maybe you just had a lapse. And you felt safe. You moved with him. And for some reason you left the office into a secluded part of the campus. You remember noticing that the security cameras, the little blinking red light wasn't on. And then it was dark. Next thing you remember, you were being dragged by your feet. Confused. Passing in and out of consciousness. And then the warehouse. It's there that the memory becomes unfortunately vivid, because you woke up with that pounding headache. And a helpless individual, bound with his hands behind his back, his legs bound together, begging to be released, begging you for help. But rather than help him, you went to him, and he had the smallest nick on his neck, and you made it larger. It can't be real, but I swear you remember it. You bit into his neck, and you fed, you ate, and you drank his blood. And it was sickeningly the best thing that you have ever tasted. Until you just drained the life out of the man. And you watch him die in front of you. And you see the others. You see Nora and Morgan next to you doing the same to another person. But you're seemingly the only one that remembers. And unfortunately, because you remember the atrocity you've committed, if you would go to the blood section of your sheet, you will see a humanity tracker. I need you to click on the leftmost box that is not shaded. That is a stain on your humanity, as you have killed an innocent being, a helpless being, while they were bound. And you don't know what you are, but you're certainly not human anymore, not after that. So what does it look to the others when you remember the events of the previous night? Because the next thing you remember after that is something sharp going through your chest, and then it went all dark.
It's stoic at first, and Drake is somewhat of an academic, and so thinking is kind of a natural state to him, but the realization of what's happening, his body only slightly moves as his brain says, oh, this is horrible, this is disgusting, I shouldn't have done this, there's no way I did this. And my brain goes to tell myself we need to retch and we need to get out whatever happened, but the body now disagrees. The beast disagrees, and what we did was satisfying and right, and he looks lost more than anything.
The two of you notice a shift in his expression. He goes quiet.
You're right there. You're like you've seen a ghost.
There's no way. Do you not remember?
Remember
what we did? God,
what we did.
Nora's right. What we seem to be. I don't. This isn't real. This can't be real.
This definitely can't be real. Now there's two of you convinced that we are.
It must be real.
My head is banging.
Well, you don't have to think of it for long. The truck stops. It parks. And soon enough, the doors to the back open. While they do, you find those two men standing up front. Once again, you were told, follow. Once again, you are compelled. You were brought to what looks like an upscale part of town. This looks like the kind of place the rich and famous would have a soiree in. Some form of art gallery, maybe. Or some place where you can display extravagant pieces of wealth for people to watch and see. But as you enter, the room is filled. There's a beautiful party. And as you enter, there are smiles at you, but the smiles hide evil intent. Moving further, you can see multiple people with their mouths on other people's wrists. Some of them on the neck. Some of them are drinking wine from a clear crystal glass, but you realize that's too thick, viscous to be wine, and it doesn't take long before you start smelling blood. And as you enter, this is where Vivian will get the first sight of a rumor you've been hearing for a bit now. That the previous evening, some unsanctioned fledglings were sired without the prince's permission. And you believe you just found those fledglings. But they enter in. The man with the suit sits atop a very small, like 1 foot tall stage. It's like one step above. So does the other gentleman stand next to him. He sits down, relaxes himself, leans forward, intertwines his fingers and puts his chin on it as if to think, while the three of you stand before him, surrounded by everyone else in this room. You can't help but feel that you are surrounded by predators. Can't help but feel that you are surrounded by people who will hurt you in a moment's notice, and they can. But everyone's curious. What do I do with you three? No sires to train you. No clue to your origin. Quite the predicament. And Vivian, before anyone else can speak, he is looking around the room to see if there's anyone who has ideas. And someone very, very familiar to you, Anthony, a rival of sorts, speaks out. Prince, if you will. For the other three, the term rings medieval, odd, but you have no choice but to go with it at this point. Anthony continues. I've recognized that one of our own, of our clan, in fact, has been wanting to step up and prove their loyalty and worth to you. Perhaps it would be fitting that she take the responsibility of being their adoptive sire, no? And he gives you a very clear look, Vivian. And the prince shares the look in anticipation. Would you step up?
With your permission, absolutely, sir.
Good. Good. In that case, you, from this point on, shall be responsible for these fledglings. Their actions will be your actions. Their education will be your responsibility. Havens will be prepared for them as well as your territorial haven. Greenfield Community College shall remain yours and a block extending past it. Teach them our ways. Make sure they learn. Afterwards, your responsibility with them is to find who did this and bring me their heads. I have nothing further to say.
Immense. Your mercy is immense, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Do not squander it. There's expectation of you. You will meet that expectation. He looks to the three of you. This woman, her name is Vivian. You will do as she instructs. And if you challenge her authority, she will deal with you as she sees fit. If you wish to survive the next coming nights, you will listen to her. Or you will deal with someone much worse. He waves you off, all of you, dismissively. And you can, the three of you can tell that as he makes that gesture, everyone in the room just begins to part. As if it's trained in them. And the three of you are now solely in this sort of center of the room, being watched by everyone who has gone through the edges. As Vivian stands there with a new responsibility.
Well, shall we depart and begin your training? And she would kind of gesture towards the sides of the room, towards the exit, assuming it was a dismissal of this is concluded, or just off to the edges if it was a dismissal, this part is concluded.
This is concluded for those who are no longer needed, so you are allowed and probably encouraged to leave. So you head towards the exit.
Yeah. Shall we?
Let's go.
So,
Sure.
Okay.
you're gonna probably summon her taxi or limo
Sure,
to escort them all back to her haven
of course.
while the domains are still being set up. It's one of the most luxury apartments on campus, or just off campus. Not quite penthouse, but the floor below that. And she takes you into the panic room, where there's no windows, and it's a standard panic room. Okay, I am Vivian Devereaux. You may call me Viv. And who am I responsible for now?
My name is Morgan. Yeah, I'm Morgan.
My name is Nora Crane.
Okay, very nice.
Her eyes are just like locked on, and they're unblinking. She forgot how to.
In opposite fashion, Drake's eyes are everywhere. The ride, the apartment, the walk through, the panic room. And it takes a moment, but you get Drake Veloci.
Excellent. So, you probably all have a million questions. And hopefully I have 1,000,001 answers. Shall we start with what you are now? Or do you already know?
I think we have some suspicions. Is it true?
I hope so.
We are kindred. The mortal world does refer to the mythology as vampires. We do not choose to use that word. We are kindred. We are all related in blood, so to speak.
How is this even possible? You're from books.
Most of the books are the work of spin doctors to hide our existence. Some get a little too close to the truth, and we have to deal with that.
Nora sort of shifts her eyes away when she hears someone too close to the truth.
The kindred in this city belong to a group known as the Camarilla, or you may hear it also referred as the Camarilla. We are a group of political organization, if you will, within the Kindred Society, dedicated to protecting our way of life and protecting our members. The primary method of protecting our way of life is known as the 6 traditions. These are our rules. There is the first tradition, that of the Masquerade. You cannot let anyone know that you are kindred. Breaking the Masquerade is punishable by final death. Yes, vampires can be killed. We are not completely immortal, but you have ceased to age. You are living an unlife now. The Masquerade is in place to help us blend in with the mortal kind, who we often refer to as kine. Using your powers in the witness of mortals is a breach of the Masquerade. Feeding and not cleaning up after yourself is a breach of the Masquerade. Telling somebody what you are is a breach of the Masquerade. All are punishable by the final death. The second tradition is domain. Thine domain is thine own concern, all others owe thee respect while in it, and none may challenge thy word within thy domain. This is most often kept at a citywide level. Prince Jackson is our prince who runs this city. While we are in it, you may not challenge him. It does also refer to a lower level. Individual coteries or groups of kindred that bond together are assigned a domain of their own within a city, and they are the rulers of that area. The third tradition is progeny. And once you understand that one, you'll understand Prince Jackson's mercy with you tonight. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. So, in these times, we do refer all elder references to mean the prince of the city. Since you were all embraced without the prince's permission, your lives were forfeit, as are your sire's lives. The prince showed great mercy in allowing you to live. And you catch a little bit of concern in Vivian's voice when she mentions, and great honor to me to be allowed to teach you. You can tell that it's a big deal. It's troubling her. The fourth tradition is the accounting. Those thou create are thine own children. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. So, that means I'm in charge of you all now. And anything you do wrong, I will get the punishment for. Please don't screw up. Hospitality is the fifth tradition. honor another's domain. When thou comest to a foreign city, thou shalt present thyself to the one who ruleth there. Without the word of acceptance, thou art nothing. When I came here from Paris, I was introduced to Prince Jackson, and he gave me permission to stay because of the 5th tradition. The 6th tradition is destruction. Thou art forbidden to destroy another of thy kind. The right of destruction belongeth only to thine elder. Only the eldest among thee shall call the blood hunt. So, you get into a scuffle with another kindred, leave them alive. You can stake them, torpor, put them into torpor. I'll explain these things as we go, but don't kill them. We will bring them to the prince to present. I'm going to need to get clarification, actually, on our assignment after you've learned the traditions and the ways of our kind, because the prince did say that our next assignment was to locate your sires and bring him their heads. I need to make sure that that's an actual blood hunt and not a figure of speech. Because if we bring him their actual heads and he didn't mean it literally, that's trouble. So we need to get clarification on that. Now, it's time for questions. I'm sure you have plenty.
It's the first, if I could. Very interesting to understand all of that, but is there any way that you've got anything that can help with these headaches that I've been having since I woke?
That is the hunger. It will be with you for the rest of your own life. It will get stronger, it will get weaker, but it will be with you forever. The beast within us craves the destruction of kind, and the blood of the mortals is the only thing that sustains us. We commonly refer to blood as vitae or vitae. There are many pronunciations, but that is what you hunger for. It is a thirst and a hunger that cannot be destroyed entirely. Although I've been told that if you drain a mortal completely to the death, that the hunger does fade enough that it doesn't hurt. But it's still there even then.
Okay. Where are we meant to find these mortals that we just drain? Are we just picking people randomly, or?
We're predators. Make no mistake, and every predator has their own style. I, myself, like to convince people to give it to me freely. It does take a little bit of je ne sais quoi. Takes a little bit of persuasion and subterfuge in order to convince them to do so without realizing what they're doing, because if they were to realize, it would be a breach of the Masquerade, of course. Now, there is also the benefit that our kiss, the embrace, the kiss is feeding, the embrace is creating. Our kiss does bring a certain soporific feeling, both to yourself and to your victim. So it's not entirely unenjoyable for them either. It leaves them just dazed enough that if you clean up after yourself, they won't have realized what happened. Well, unless you make it obvious. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to how to procure their own food, if you will. I have a few friends that I'm able to drink from as the need arises.
Nora, upon hearing about that sort of sense of euphoria, I think she would try to remember the moment that had happened.
Perfect. Make the same roll. Resolve an intelligence. See if you remember anything.
How would I do that again?
Click on your sheet, just click the word resolve, and then it'll ask you for another attribute. Pick intelligence.
Okay. All right.
Then just confirm both. One. That's good enough just to remember something dark. So, what does a normal evening for Nora tend to look like?
Well, recently it has changed quite a bit. She had an encounter with someone that she suspected was a vampire, and as that is her only interest in life is to have that. So lately she had given everything up and was following this person wherever they went, basically. Unnoticed, of course.
As far as you know, you were following. On the same night, your job, your career, your family, your friends, everything was just abandoned for this one singular purpose. It's like a dog chasing a bone. You don't really know what you'll do when you get it. You just want it. As you follow, eventually the figure turns into an alley, never leaves, to the point that you have to cross over to see where they went. As they do, or as you do, they corner you and give you a smile, and you are excited for what comes next because you have been wanting this, you have been hoping for it, and here lies proof of the monstrous nature of what it is that you've been after. Their teeth sink into your neck, and there's just euphoria and bliss and darkness, but what follows that is a similar situation. You wake up with an annoying pounding in your head, like the worst hangover of your life. But in front of you is some helpless girl, bound and tied, with the smallest of nicks on her neck, and the blood flows, and you become privy to the realization of what it is you truly are. Your fangs sink deep into her neck, and you can't stop. No, it's not entirely you. You're aware of what you're doing, but you just can't help it. There's something in you that wants to feed more and more and more until there isn't a drop left. You fed so cleanly, there isn't even any blood on the floor. You took every bit. The corpse falls, pale and cold. And then the sharp pain in your chest, followed by darkness. On your sheet, go to the blood tab and mark off one of those white boxes on the left. You will also be stained for the night. But you remember, and while everything that you hoped would happen happened, you could never imagine having lost so much control that you kill someone. It's not all fantasy and romance. It's not as sexy as the novels would have you believe. It's bloody. And you enjoyed the feed so much that you're not sure if you even feel guilty about it. How do you react?
The headache sort of has me in a haze, so Nora's trying her best to focus on the euphoria, but remembering what came after sort of starts to itch and gnaw at the back of her mind. She sort of falls quiet, even quieter than before, and stares down at the ground.
Well, while she falls quiet, this lesson is interrupted because there's a knock, a very methodical and particular knock on Vivian's door. There are only 2 people in the entire society who know where your haven is. The prince, who would not even bother, and the sheriff, who would tend to be a bad omen when he's at your door. Hopefully this is just instructions. But there is a knocking.
Just in case it's just random solicitors and not the sheriff or the prince, Vivian will say, if I knock on the wall in a specific pattern, press this button to open the panic room. Otherwise, don't open it. And she'll shut the panic room as she goes to answer her door.
Okay. Unfortunately for you, the person at your door is not a Jehovah's Witness. It is a slightly lanky looking man, the same that the other 3 saw. Very young. For the rest of you, since you remember there was this thinner gentleman standing next to the man in the suit. The gentleman here, now, is about 14, but Vivian knows him as Damien, the sheriff. A bruja of some renown and significantly older than all of you in the room combined.
Upon seeing Damien, Vivian will nod and welcome him in, and then go and give the very specific knock on the panic room door so they can open up.
One of you will open the door.
Drake. Drake, that was a knock.
Yep.
So Drake goes off to open the door, and you see that man, that child really, standing next to Vivian. You remember him. He was the one that broke your chains with his bare hand. He looks at the four of you, including Vivian, assessing the 4 of you. Prince got orders. I'm here to deliver. 4 of you to find who did this to the 3 of them. Prince wants them dead. There's a blood hunt out on whoever did this. Can't have people siring without permission around here. So you're free to kill him. But you only get a week. After that week, the blood hunt goes citywide. Then it's anyone's game. It won't look good on the 4 of you if someone else finds them. So for now, you're the only 4 that know. Retrace your steps. Try to find them. Deal with them. That's your responsibility now. We clear?
Thank you, Damien. Excellent.
Alright then. Do what you
Have
gotta
you dropped
do.
a new album lately?
Nah. Busy nights.
Absolutely.
He just leaves without ceremony, closes the door behind him. It's never easy when the sheriff visits you in your own home, but at least this was a better circumstance. Or as good as it can get for you, Vivian.
Quite so. So, that is Sheriff Damien. He is the prince's right hand, the upholder of the law. His word is almost as good as the prince's, and should always be treated as such. Except when he tries to overstep his bounds. But that's not our place to decide whether he has or not. Therefore, he might as well be the prince as well. When we gain in status and grow on the ladder, then maybe we can decide whether or not he's stepping his bounds or not. But for now, his word is the prince's word.
It's about midnight now. Because it's still the tail end of winter, the sun doesn't rise for another 6 or so hours, maybe 7 if you're lucky. Is there anything the four of you want to accomplish for the evening? You were also given a packet by Damon, I forgot to mention, which has locations of their new havens.
Okay, so going through the packet first, that's their
Personal domains or personal havens.
Their personal havens.
Mhm.
Okay, so pass out the sheet for each one. Like, this is where you're allowed to live and sleep in safety. A haven is your safe room. It may not be as extravagant as this, but it is your safety. We must avoid the sunlight at all costs. And it's hard, bordering on impossible, to remain awake once the sun has begun to rise. So you will need to be in a safe place before, checks the calendar, 8 p.m. or 6:30, whatever time the sunrise is.
Yep.
You will need to be safely in a completely enclosed environment before the sun begins to rise. Other than that, we have some time. What else? What do you remember of who took you? Who changed you? Did any of you know your sire?
So I guess Morgan at this point will try his best to remember what happened the night before, sitting down and holding his head in his hands.
The same thing. Click resolve, click intelligence, what you get. Ooh. Well, in your case, that might not be a bad thing. You try your best, but you can't remember. The most you remember was that sharp pain in your chest, followed by being chained to that chair. It's blank for you.
I have a taste for mind-altering habits, and other than being in my room and beginning to prepare, the next thing I remember is pain and chains. Nothing more.
Sorry?
Oop, you cut out.
I think you're muted.
Sorry. good news for you, or possibly bad news for you on that front, as far as your mind-altering substances. They have no effect anymore.
Oh dear.
If that's bad news for you, then you can feed from that particular ilk of kine, and you will gain some relative degree of pleasure from it. But you're now blissfully free of intoxicants.
Okay. Not sure that's a good thing, but we'll see.
And you can always ensure that your meal has had intoxicants, and then you will get something from it. It may not be the same as what you experienced directly from the intoxicant itself, but you'll get something from it.
Okay.
Nora would be extremely familiar with what the guy looks like, right?
Yes. You've been following the man for ages, but throughout your investigation, you've uncovered 6 aliases, all of them just as valid as the last, and no real discernible name, just a face, a very handsome, alluring, mysterious face.
Did he have any identifying marks?
Nothing that you wouldn't find, because it's tall, white, athletic build, clean-cut hair, dresses somewhat sharply, kind of like smart casual sports jacket over button top, and very in trend with what most people would be wearing in his neck of the woods. You remember always having to go to the north side of Chicago to find him. But that's about it. The rest of it, you could be describing, unless you had a professional sketch artist on hand, you could be describing half or more than half the population. You remember the face vividly, but you don't have any photos. You never could get a photo.
Yeah. At least have a general idea of where he goes, right?
You have a general idea of where you used to follow him around, yes.
Okay. Nora would finally break her silence and say, I think I know where he might be.
Excellent. So we have one lead, and you, Drake, it was?
Yeah, I didn't know mine. He found me on campus. I do some work with photography. He claimed he was a transfer student. I remember a warm, safe feeling when they first started talking to me, and I think we walked around campus for a little bit, and there was a spot where the cameras were off, and then it was dark, and now we're here. That's all I remember.
Sorry.
Missing you again, BB.
Yeah.
So we don't know what clan any of you belong to.
Clan?
Yes, the blood, as I mentioned, we're all kindred in the blood. The blood forms families, family groups, or clans, as we refer to them. I myself am of the Ventru clan, the same as Prince Jackson. We tend to be aristocrats for the most part, and financial leaders or social leaders just tend to be people in charge. Our powers of the blood help foster that. There's also the Bruja, like Sheriff Damien. They tend to be a little rough around the edges, but they're very good enforcers. Sheriff Damien is an excellent example of his clan. There's the feral children, the gangrel, who some believe are related to werewolves. I don't hold with that personally, but it's been mentioned. They do tend to be better at shape-shifting than the rest of us. We have to learn it more painfully. They're good with animals. They tend to live more on their own than in society, but it certainly doesn't stop them from living amongst us with the rest. They are still part of kindred society as a whole, and there are gangrel within the Camarilla. There's the Toreador, the Roses, they're the artists, and the posers, the ones who pretend to be artists, quite often fascinated by beauty. There are the Malkavians. They're a little touched in the head. One would say they tend to be slightly out of touch with our reality. They tend to also often form the role of seer and wise person, sitting counsel to princes. So while they are not always in touch with our realities, they are still honored amongst the Camarilla for their powers and prowess. Without a list in front of me, my mind is blanking on which ones are Camarilla and which ones are not. Also, storyteller.
Yes.
In Chicago, have the La Sombra joined the Camarilla yet, or is that not yet?
They have. They already have.
Okay. There are the La Sombra, the clan of kings, so they call themselves. They used to work for our enemy, and because we don't trust them quite as well, in order for them to join the Camarilla, we've foisted a price upon them where they have to bring us the head of their sire or an elder in their clan before we're willing to trust them, because they used to work for the enemy.
There's so many of these. How do we know what we are?
That is an interesting question, because unfortunately, Vivian, the fastest way to figure that out is to find a Tremere.
Yep. That's where I was going with next. Well, the easiest way to tell is to ask a Tremere. The Tremere are the blood sorcerers amongst us. There's rumor that they can just taste a drop of your blood and tell you your lineage, and with only one lead on who your sires are in the first place, I think finding a Tremere to tell us as much as he can about your lineage is going to be our best course of action.
Okay.
Because if you don't find a clan, you are caitiff, and they don't live long in the Camarilla. They are the outsiders. They are the clanless. They are the ones who have no claim and whom no one claims.
Are there
Can
many of
happen,
these?
but
Are there many of these
There are-
Tremeres around?
as many as there are of other clans. They are fairly common in the Camarilla. I will have to put out some feelers to find one. I don't know anyone personally other than, knowing that the Primogen, I know the Primogen's name, but I'm not on a first name basis with their Primogen. So, yeah. Primogen, that's another term, yes. The leader of the clan within a given city. They sit on the council and help make decisions with the prince. The prince is ultimately has veto power or forced yes power, but without the strength and backing of the Primogen Council, the prince would have little power.
Speaking of said council, surely you've kept archives or ledgers or logs of our kindred. Would that not be a potential way to find our missing sires? Was it? If there's only so many kindred allowed in a city, and given the domain, or whatever the name of the rule was, I'm sorry, we have to know everyone who's here, and if one of them is missing, is that a likely culprit?
If only it were that simple. The Camarilla are not the only sect within our great overarching society. There is also the Anarch movement, who tries to usurp the Camarilla. They have been unsuccessful in the past, and they will be again in the future, of course. At best, they are a mockery of the Camarilla, with their own little feudal system that they don't even see for themselves. At worst, they are literal anarch rebels that just cause trouble. So, there are still plenty of kindred that do not follow our rules to the letter. Most do honor the Masquerade, for not only is it a law of the Camarilla, but it is also common sense. There are hunters out there that do look for our kind as monsters, for monsters we are. And they would hunt us down to kill us if they were to know we existed. And if that news were to get out to the greater public, then anybody and everybody would want to become a hunter. So,
Nora, you've got a weird smile and a glazed over look on your face over there. Is there anything you want to add to this at all, or?
I wasn't listening.
Okay, that checks out. Let's
see.
Okay.
So,
someone's got to drink our blood, right?
yes, the embrace process is someone consumes all of your blood and replaces it with a taste of their own.
Do we not have blood anymore?
It's vitae. It exists within you in a static pool. If you get cut or shot or stabbed, you don't bleed unless you choose to allow the blood to flow and heal. It still hurts. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't hurt as much as it would hurt a mortal, but it still hurts. But you don't bleed. No. You don't eat. You don't drink. You don't sleep per se. You enter a slumber of sorts when the sun arises, but it's not the same as sleep used to be. You don't need to breathe, although I do encourage trying to remember to breathe when you're around people. There is a trick that you can do. It's called rousing your blood, and it helps you get a blush of life. And the slight pallor comes back to your flesh so that you're not quite so pale. You breathe reflexively. You can even hold down food for a moment or two before throwing it all away with the blush of life. But it is a practice of pulling the blood and forcing it to work again. That has a chance of making you hungrier than you already are. Similarly, using some of your blood powers has a chance of making you hungrier than you already are. Have any of you discovered your blood powers? Your disciplines?
How do we check?
Powers.
Depends on the power.
For example, the Ventru have a blood power, a discipline called Dominate, which allows you to compel and persuade much more than mere speech would be the case. The gangrel, as I mentioned, have shifting powers of a sort called protean. Some of them at low level, they can see in the dark, for example. Their eyes glow red. Or at higher levels, they can shift into animal form.
Interestingly, Morgan,
Yeah.
as he says this, almost reflexively, the rest of you just see his eyes turn yellow like a wolf. And Morgan, you're more cognizant of the darker parts of his room as if it was brightly lit. Almost on
Say that last
instinct.
one. Vivian, say that last one again.
Protean at low levels. One of the powers is being able to see in the dark, and typically the eyes glow red. Yours are glowing yellow, which it's not uncommon. I've never seen it, but that's pretty cool. That's probably Protean.
Great. Right.
When you see your
Protean.
reflection, Morgan, you see how terrifying it is that you are a man, but your eyes are that yellow slits like a wolf, and it makes you look like a predator. It makes you look dangerous.
Okay.
Would any of you like to attempt anything?
You want to go first?
Go ahead, Nora.
Nora is just going to silently wish that she was not there.
I need you to roll that rouse button to activate a power. So the way rousing the blood works, succeed or fail, you still achieve the outcome. It's just a matter of do you get hungrier doing it. So with that, as you're all looking to Morgan, looking at his eyes, noticing, taking guesses as to what his power is, when you turn back after that second, Nora's just gone. But Nora, you're just standing there. They just don't see you. They don't seem to notice you.
Nora doesn't realize it quite yet.
This is a good time for another challenge. Let's see. If you are Gangrel, I don't think you have access to Auspex. And those eyes probably don't let you see Obfuscate. So, how about you, Drake? Can you find Nora? And I'm just taking. I have no idea what disciplines you have. I'm
Nope.
just taking a stab at it.
Definitely not.
It would be sense the unseen for Auspex 1.
No,
Yeah.
I have no
So,
aspect.
You can't find
no
her.
chance.
You can't. But
Nora's starting to feel confused. Find me.
you have your first power, which means that you're not making much sound either. So you notice that they can't see you, they can't find you, and in fact, Drake, as he looks, even bumps into you, but doesn't seem to realize. No one seems to realize that he literally accidentally shoulder checked you. But to everyone else, it's like he's just walking through the room. No one seems to notice where you are. And Drake, again, whether instinctive or not, you look through different areas, you look through places, and there are steps in this, like 1 or 2 steps that lead to other places in the room that you manage to walk through effortlessly. Even when you're about to trip, if you know that feeling of like missing the last step and that fall, even when you do miss that step, you still land perfectly on your feet. Nothing in this room, or the unfamiliarity of searching around blindly, seems to trip his balance. While he does not find Nora, there's clearly something else at play. The perfect balance, the poise, the inability to make a mistake in how he steps, the elegance in every stride that he takes, whether he realizes it or not.
And the first clan that comes to Vivian's mind for that is Bruja.
That is fair.
So, oh, the grace of a cat. Celerity is common amongst the Bruja. That might be where you belong. How's your temper? Yeah, how's your temper?
I think I've been pretty composed the whole night. I don't know. I mean, with all due respect, Nora's a bit of a freak when we woke up and was very excited about this.
Who wouldn't be?
Okay, no. The two of us are. The two of us raising our hands. The guy with yellow eyes is also raising his hand. God, it's just... I feel fine.
What do I see when I look down at my hands?
Oh, you see yourself. They just don't notice you.
Oh.
Yeah, obfuscate is a mental
Yes.
block more than a physical light bending.
You are physically aware that they can't see you. They're looking right at you, but it's like they're looking past you. So you're not invisible. You can see yourself. You can even see your own reflection, but they don't.
I think in frustration, Drake will kind of almost lose his temper a little bit and kind of argue that, Nora, you can't think like this, really. You have to agree with me, in an attempt to draw out my presence using awe.
Ooh. Lovely. So, let's make a contested roll here. For Drake, I'll need you to go to the stats and roll your manipulation.
Gotcha.
And then... Oh, sorry. Never mind. Skip that. Go to your disciplines and then click the symbol on the left of the word awe. That should help you roll it.
Gotcha.
And then Nora, I need you to click your composure and then select your intelligence to resist.
Okay.
That's 2. And for Nora,
Roll.
Nora gets 4. So, there's for the rest of you in the room, there's an undeniable attraction. Not physical, but it's sort of this, you have to look at him, you have to listen to him. Starting to feel like a Bruja. But, he's making a bit of sense. However, Nora, I mean, he says you have to agree with him. Do you, though?
No. I'm gonna slowly... So sort of walk towards and around him.
Still unseen.
And then I'll just like stand behind him. It's with the intent to spook him if he ever does notice.
So, the rest of you are on bated breath watching this display of awe, this aura from Drake, but Nora doesn't show up yet.
Well, Nora, assuming you are still here and have not left my apartment, the ability to make oneself unseen is in the realm of obfuscate, which typically belong to the Nosferatu. And
You would know.
oh,
If there's
the
a Nos.
Malkavians. Yeah, you're not a Nosferatu. I can see that. Well, I can't see that right now, but I could see that before. The Nosferatu are the sewer rats. They are masters of information gathering. Don't get me wrong. But they're useful tools more than real members. And for all my viewers, all our viewers out there, and for the other players, remember, this is the venturer's point of view. This is not necessarily canon truth.
Exactly. But Nora, would you like to reveal yourself? Or do you wish
Yeah, I'm going
to be seen?
reveal myself. Yeah, I'm going to wish to be seen, sort of confrontationally.
So,
And right over Drake's shoulder, I'll be like, didn't you say I was touched in the head?
so Drake, out of nowhere, just hear her voice behind you. Suddenly.
I swing. I like, not like with like an intentful punch, but I kind of just swing my arm around behind me out of surprise.
Oof. Can I get out of the way of that in time?
If Drake's not intending to punch you,
No, it's more of a freak out than it is like an
Yeah,
intentional
so-
punch.
it doesn't really hurt. It's more like it just taps you to the side, like, what the fuck?
Okay. I'm going to smile at Drake, just sort of, like, establish dominance. And then I'm going to pretend as if nothing happened.
So, I would say at this point, Vivian's getting a clear picture of what Nora is, unfortunately. There's only one other clan that has this power, after all. Well, two, but the other one is very unlikely. Oh, I believe you're muted.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really know about the ministry, so yeah, and I've got a pretty clear picture of what Drake is too. It's just wrong.
Oh,
So-
let me throw you off anymore. Let me throw you off more then. I'm gonna point my finger up at Nora. I'm gonna say, you forget this, and specifically forget, because I do have one of cloud memory.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Why don't you
throw-
roll
I'm
that
gonna
as
throw-
well, Drake? That is free.
I'm gonna throw
So
an absolute loop.
just roll that symbol. And Nora, I will need you to click on wits and then resolve to resist.
Wits. Okay.
Unfortunately, you have some of the best stats to defend against this.
No, I don't.
So it doesn't bite. Like, you're not sure what's going on. However, Vivian does feel the attempt.
Nora would too. That's what enabled the save, basically. So
Yes. So the
Now,
two of
wait
you
a minute,
feel
that's
the
one of-
attempt to the head.
that's one of our powers. You are an interesting case, Drake. You say you don't have a temper, And yet you've lashed out 3 times now?
Okay, because Nora's making me mad because this is frustrating. I have a life. I have students to take care of. I have an apartment. I have a cat.
No, you don't.
Not anymore.
No, you don't.
Nora, shut your goddamn mouth.
But she's right, you don't. You're dead. You cannot return to your old life. Any of you. You threatened yourself, the Masquerade, and the Camarilla as a whole to return to your old life. Your classes, were they all night classes?
Some of them, yes.
But not all of them? Well, you couldn't possibly return to any of the day classes. There are kindred who maintain a semblance of their old life with extreme caution and care. They adjust their schedules. They find excuses. They use their powers. But most rather pick up a new unlife and live as a new person, forgoing their old life completely. I have not seen my parents in 5 years. I left Paris and moved to Chicago at my sire's demands. I established a new life here. Unlife, as we say.
Vivian, who is your sire?
And did I give them a first name?
You can now.
I did not give them a name yet. Antoine. My sire is Antoine Ventrou in Paris. Over here, I answer only to our primogen and to the prince, and the prince's direct lessers, like Sheriff Damien.
Well, this was a somewhat productive evening. There's the matter of getting to their havens, because it would be unfitting if they were to sleep in yours. And the sun, the threat of sunrise draws ever nearer.
Not enough room either. Yeah, there's not enough room either.
Precisely.
So, for right now, we are simply assuming, and we don't know for sure. Morgan, you are most likely Gangrel, especially with the wolf toned to your eyes. Nora, you are probably Malkavian, owing to your invisibility and lack of hideous looks. The Nosferatu are particularly ugly.
You think I'm pretty?
No, the Nosferatu are particularly ugly.
That seems subjective.
When you meet one, you'll understand. They are the information specialists. We will probably need to contact one along the way to uncover your sires. And Drake, you are the toughest to read. I still think it's Bruja. But we should visit with the Tremere and find out for sure. You wouldn't want to be lumped in with the rabble if you actually belong among the princes.
That will take some
Nora has
doing.
not made the connection.
Nope.
Nora has not made the connection to Toreador at all.
So, speaking to Tremere is possible. You have met some of them, and you can let out a request. After all, this is important. What they'll ask for in return, that depends. But that'll take some doing for the rest of your evening. Meanwhile, it might be best to start bringing them to their homes.
Yeah, let's make arrangements to get everybody to their assigned haven, and just while driving around, if we can drop off a request at the chantry or something along those lines.
Absolutely. So, you will all be driven to your homes, your new dead homes. A lot of your things have been moved here, which means some people have been to your apartments or wherever you used to live and just dropped things off in boxes here. Right off the bat, it immediately feels like the people around here know who you are, know where you come from. They know more than you'd be comfortable with. But you'll settle into your new homes, so requests will be filed. And then you'll feel what Vivian was talking about. As you lay in the bed prepared for you, when you start to see or notice the sun rise and the windows, you start to black out by default. As soon as the clock hits 6:30 a.m., maybe even 7 given it is winter, you don't sleep. You die. Your bodies slowly lose life until you are not conscious, not moving, not breathing, for you are truly dead in the morning. And for now, we are going to take a break and come back afterwards.
as I can, and like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, we're live again, and I apologize for the technical issues at the moment. Hopefully, you guys can at least still hear us, which is the most important part of this. But we will try to get this fixed. Until then, we'll pick up where we left off with our vampires. You have all gone to sleep, let's call it, in very deep quotations. And in the morning, the mortals, the people, they go about their day, unassuming, uncaring, not knowing what lies beneath. what crawls in the dark, what really controls their lives. In the evening, however, while your bodies are dead during the sun, the blood comes rushing forward, forcing your bodies to move to give it life or unlife, forcing you to awaken from this slumber. You will be making a rouse check for waking up, which there's a button on all of your sheets to do so. The evening arises once more.
We got out of
Bad.
bed today. Yeah.
No one's getting hungry.
I need to roll still. Hold on. Because I have not had, in my demo rolls and practice rolls, I failed every single rouse check. So let's see how I do now.
No pressure.
Look at that.
Hey,
Let's
All
go.
of you,
Let's go.
get out of bed.
this is something that I have not had to deal with in any of my games. But stains, is that a daily
Yes.
thing or a session thing?
Daily. And I'll get to that. So, 2 of you have stains if you check the blood part of your sheet. I will need you to click the word humanity, and it will roll for you a remorse test. Oh, Nora.
Oh.
So, Nora, what I'm going to do is... Oh, it does it automatically. If you'll notice, your humanity's gone down. So this is how you awaken. First, Drake. When you awaken, the overwhelming thought of having ended a life, taken an innocent life, a helpless life, overcomes all other emotion. You are grief-stricken, you are guilt-stricken, you are in a tremendous amount of pain over what you've done, over what it is that's happened. In that pain, you are reminded that part of you, at least, is still human, or pretending to be. Part of you still feels remorse. Oddly comforting, but also miserable. Nor, on the other hand, you wake up completely differently. You wake up fine. Sure, you killed someone, but I mean, that's your life now. You can't blame yourself for killing someone any more than you can blame the bear for killing a deer. It's who you are now.
Nora is actively romanticizing it.
It's for the best. You need it.
It's for the greater good.
It's for your good. So, that being said, the 3 of you, for the first time since you can remember, are separated from each other. Now, obviously, Vivian, you've gotten word back the previous night to bring them all there as soon as the sun sets, as soon as you can. And someone will attend to you, to what you need. So you would have to drive in your limo, collecting them one by one from their respective addresses. Now comes the part where I ask for the other 3 while you're in this new home that they've built for you, and you could have spent the last hours of the night trying to arrange it in a way that makes it pleasing to you. Do you wait for Vivian to arrive, or do you do experimenting of your own? What do you do for the first hour of the night, as you're aware Vivian would come for you? Will you all be good fledglings?
It never came up amidst the craziness of the night before. Would we still have our personal items, like a phone or wallet or anything like that?
Definitely not any identifiers, but stuff that was in your home, sure. There's no internet, where in this new place, by the way, you are completely cut off from electronic forms of communication.
Drake would definitely stay. Even without the internet, he has banks and cards and plenty of past taken photos. And he'll sit on his laptop and go through them. And through the guilt that he's still in turmoil with from the act that he's committed, it reminds him of who he was, at least who he thinks he still can be. And he looks at his students that he's done projects with, and he looks at his past projects. And it reminds him of who he was, but it also keens an interest in some patterns he finds, and these things that he starts seeing. There's a new beauty in everything that's already in the screen, and that's how he spends his time waiting.
Nora, do you wait?
Yeah, Nora is going to wait. Since she's since moved on from the whole remorse thing. Who needs it? She's just sort of monologuing to herself in her head about the elegance of such an experience, even with the dirtier parts. She's humming classical music and dancing.
Waltzing by yourself.
Yeah, sort of imagining Bela Lugosi's Dracula dancing with her.
And Morgan, will you wait?
Morgan is going to stare out of any windows or out of a door, trying to get his eyes to go yellow and red in his reflection that he can see, trying to observe this new, more detailed world that he now has access to. He's not necessarily doing anything with that other than becoming a little more comfortable, a little bit more self-aware of what this new vision means to him.
Become self-aware of what you are. You can see the fangs in your reflection. You can see the eyes that you have some level of control over now. Could be useful in trying to get someone off your back. Hopefully they don't remember it. But since all of you are waiting, eventually all of you will be picked up by Vivian, this nice stretch limo she has. You are about to meet the premier. Their chantry is all the way in the north side. Until then, is there anything that the four of you would like to discuss now that you've all once again gathered for another evening of whatever this new world you find yourself in is?
So, if we're trying to figure out who our stars are, and we're all made up of different, did you call them clans, gangs?
Clans, yes.
Does that mean that each of our stars belong to those different clans?
Yes. A child takes on the clan of its sire, except in a few circumstances. As I mentioned, the clanless, the Caitiff, have no clan, and they occasionally occur by random chance in the wild, and quite often are abandoned like all of you were. And then there's the thin bloods. They're no longer human, but they're not really kindred either. They live in a world between worlds.
How did you two sleep?
I mean, I guess we didn't.
I wouldn't call that sleep. I don't think.
It was an interesting sensation for the few of you.
I did warn you.
Mm-hmm. You guys didn't feel like you slept. It felt like you closed your eyes and then you opened them. You didn't feel time pass. You don't feel any more rested or tired than you were the previous night. Well then.
So, Vivian, they said a community college was ours? What does that mean?
This is our domain, our free reign, where we can interact with mortal society and push for rules if that needs be. We can feed if that needs be. Others are not permitted to feed here. This is our domain. And if you are caught feeding in someone else's domain, that brings a trial at best and retribution otherwise. However, it's not good to feed too close to your homes. And since we all have havens here within the domain, keeping your feeding limited out to the edges of our domain is probably best. Did anyone get hungrier over day?
Just the same level of itching hunger in the back you can't get rid of, but not worse than it was.
Still the headaches, like you said.
Sometimes when the sun sets, that hunger increases, much like when rousing the blood for that blush of life that I spoke of, or rousing your blood for using a power can make you hungrier. Sometimes just the dawning of a new night can make you hungrier. It is important to keep this hunger in check. If the hunger becomes too strong, you lose control of yourself to the beast within. We don't want that to happen. Mistakes get made when the beast gets out. So, well, we wait for word from the Chantry about an audience with a Tremere willing to sample for clans. I think our first move should be following the one lead that we do have. Nora, you said you know where your sire likes to haunt. Perhaps we form a stakeout in that area and see if we can find him again.
We can try.
You have a very detailed pattern, to the point that when you explain to the others his usual go-tos, she has far more information than would be otherwise acceptable from a normal society's perspective. The amount of time he spends in average on one area, which means she sampled that time frame more than 10 or 20 times, to how long it takes for him to walk to another area, to the fact that he never takes the train. It's extremely detailed. Uncomfortably so.
Obsessive much, Nora?
Obsessive? What do you mean?
At least kind of weird.
I suppose it could have been autism.
Okay. That comment aside, I had an idea for mine. We did walk around campus, me and whoever did this to me, that means there should be security camera footage of other areas we walked through, especially from my office. So we should, without a doubt, be able to catch sight of them.
Unfortunately for Morgan, that detail is still lost.
I mean, I'm happy to go with either of your suggestions. I'm still struggling here.
I think we should go with mine first. I'd like to see if my information is still current.
Vivian, you're our proto-sire.
Well,
I think it's best.
I can certainly get us access to the computers that would store security footage. I wouldn't know what to do once there. So unless any of you are computer wizards, I don't know that that course of action will really help us much.
Oh, I'm more than familiar with how to work it. Do you not know how to work computers, Vivian?
Oh, I can check Google. I mean, I've used email.
I can handle it if we go there tonight. We could try it afterwards. The footage usually stays for about a week or so before they clear it out.
Then I think perhaps we should start with that.
Okay.
Morgan will lean towards Drake and give him a bit of a nudge. How old do you think Vivian actually is?
That's a thing to think about. They came for Paris. I'd go maybe 70s, 80s.
I could have sworn she said she'd used a Google.
That sounds like my grandmother, so...
Isn't it rude to talk about a woman's age?
Oh my gosh, you're still here. I keep losing sight of you. Can you just from center frame a bit more, please? It's quite disconcerting.
Fine.
Thank you.
And that brings to mind, Nora, I apologize for any rudeness last night. We're in this together, and your fascination and desire to have been a part of it should lay no part in how we cooperate. So I'm sorry for getting frustrated with you.
An apology
It's okay.
from a Bruja is quite rare, Vivian. Highly unusual. But you will be driven. Before you get to any particular stop, there is a bit of traffic. And amidst that traffic, there's a knock on the window. It looks like a gentleman. Tightly cut hair, well dressed, carries a cane, but mostly for show rather than for use. You open the window, Vivian?
Yes. I'm sorry, we don't have any Grey Poupon.
I am Abraham Dusab. I'm here to test the blood of your fledglings. I was told to come find you, and so I did. And with him, he's carrying this sort of silk cloth that he's just been carrying around the whole time as he pockets it. May I step in?
I will, yes, open the door and gesture in.
Morgan, move. We gotta make room.
Sorry.
Sharply dressed gentleman sits in. More than a 5 o'clock shadow, like there's a bit of a beard going that's been well kept. He looks to the three of you. You are the fledglings, correct? I was not at the Elysium the previous evening. Let us make this simple, shall we? He extends his hand until he takes, I would say, Drake's hand first. I will need but a drop. Bites into your finger. It does not hurt. It does not even prick like those blood sugar tests. In fact, you wish he would bite more. It's the greatest sensation you've felt ever. You hope that he would bite deeper, but he doesn't, and it's disappointing until you shake that feeling off and realize what it is that you're actually thinking right now.
Ugh.
He tastes it. Then he looks to Morgan and extends his hand, expecting you to give it to him.
I'll sort of eye Drake tentatively.
You're all right.
Tentatively give him my arm.
And he bites into it, and it's the same feeling. You just wish he wouldn't stop. And it lasts far, far too short than you would like. But it releases your hand after a quick bite. And the two of you are now realizing what it is that Vivian was talking about when you bite someone. Tastes it again, and then looks to Nora and extends his hand.
Nora, now that some time has passed, is really letting it get to her head that she's a vampire. So she offers her arm very daintily, like this.
Bites right on the top of the wrist. Lets it go. Same feeling. Except for you, it's probably amplified.
Yeah.
You have an interesting collection here, Vivian. A gangrel of 13th generation. A Malkavian of 13th generation. And a Toreador of 13th generation. They are muted.
So, the photographer, yes, I suppose that does make more sense than my initial assumption.
They may have certain abilities outside of their purview, owing to their sire's blood. All sires of 12th generation, and all sires are not of blood of the Camarilla. We have intruders. Potentially Anarch, but I doubt it. They've rarely been this reckless, and if they were to mass sire, that would be odd. The conditions in which they were found, in which the three of you were found, were you together?
I don't think we were. I think we were brought together.
When we
You were brought together.
We were. Yeah.
And this is very intentional. I suspect you find one sire, you will find the rest. Or at least information on the rest. The sires are of 12th generation, nothing noteworthy if you handle them separately. And not all together when they are congregated, let's say. You should be able to handle it. But that is the end of my service for this evening. Good luck, fledglings. And he
We are most
asks,
gracious for your service. Lucible.
he asks the car to be parked to the side, and he nods. There's an eagerness to his face, like he's eager to watch what happens from this point on, how this plays out. But he leaves. And he just walks away with his cane into the dark of the night. With some answers and clarity, where would you like to go next?
let's go ahead and carry on with the original plan of seeing if we can get security footage from the night walk with Drake and his sire. If we at least get a solid picture, we might be able to make some headway while we're running searches and whatnot. On that, we can follow up on Nora's lead.
Very good, then. You'll be heading to the college, or Drake's university, where he teaches. So, when you're there, you make your way through. Now, as we previously established, Vivian has access to this facility. So the security guards, who all know you, just look. Oh, ma'am, what are you doing here so late? Something you need?
Yes, we need access to the room. Alone.
Let's see how terrifying you can be. Roll your persuasion and manipulation. You can click persuasion first, and then you'll be checking manipulation under attribute.
What is my specialty on? I don't think that's...
It's fast talking with... Won't apply just yet.
Not doing that, yeah. Yep, not doing that right now. No discipline right now. Not gonna do a blood surge right now.
A regular human effort. He looks... highly unusual. Yes, ma'am. Of course, I'll be taking my break. He just nods.
Excellent.
Hands you the keys. I'll be out of here. And he just leaves the room. Doesn't recognize the three of you. Probably shouldn't be letting you through here, but he will anyway. You sit down. Security footage.
That was too easy, but I'll have to take care of him afterwards.
Now, it is...
Please, have at it, Drake.
Yeah, sure.
It is Drake who knows the timestamp. You remember vividly, unfortunately so. But this is still not a regular computer. This is a security room. So I will be asking you to roll your technology and then your intelligence.
You got it.
There's plenty of things, plenty of monitors, and plenty of buttons here. Not your average Windows desktop. Perfectly fine. Enough to siphon through the archives of last night. Look through the footage, and like I said, anything leading from your room to the outside to that area has been blocked off, but prior to that, you do find that footage before it was deleted. This entails that someone was here, because that footage has been manually looped. You can see just the very moment where it glitches, and it just becomes an empty room. The woman that walks forward is dressed in what you would expect some of your students to dress in. Similar Gen Z fashion. Still formal and proper for school, following the dress code just barely. She walks in, and that's when the footage glitches the moment she opens the door. It just stops, and now you can see the moment on the security camera. It's just a black screen for about 2 seconds, and then it becomes a blank looped footage. After that, after what happened, you'll notice the other cameras in the room begin to blank out as well. So whoever did this knows what they're doing around here and had access to this room here, and then has unfortunately scrubbed the footage of any digital evidence so far. But you do get a face. Beautiful woman, blonde, definitely a little too old to be a college student. Your guess is maybe late 20s to early 30s. But definitely not a college student. Except, well, you fell for it one way or the other. That's it. You don't get to see where you were dragged or what happened, but you do get a somewhat clear image of the face. The hair doesn't seem to be a wig to you.
Yeah, I don't need to see the rest. I don't think I want to, but... Vivian, any recognition from you?
Not a familiar face. You're muted.
No. Do you have a way of taking that information or printing it out, the picture?
Of course.
And then, if you could, I do recommend cleaning up that footage a little bit better than whoever came before us.
I'll take care of it.
You could probably accomplish that.
At least you know she was pretty, Drake.
Not much.
That hardly matters.
If she tricked you, I totally understand.
Vivian, it matters if you can't remember anything, actually. I've no idea what happened. At least Drake knows whatever happened with a beautiful blonde woman.
You know, beauty really isn't the point that I care about here. You know, with all due respect, I wouldn't have wanted this to happen in the first place. You know, but
At least the two of us are on the same page for once.
Just trying to make you feel better.
So, are you guys ready to leave? Once the picture's printed and the footage has been scrubbed.
Yeah, I'm going to forgetful mind on the
Guard?
Yeah. Guard.
Perfect.
To simply replace that he never took his break. He's been here the whole time. Nobody stopped by. Forgetful mind allows the replacement.
Yes. He is human, so there's no roll needed. Just a rouse check to activate. But Vivian creates a very detailed but also vague enough narrative to the guard, and he just nods with a weird shifting look in his face as he walks back into the room, unaware of what's happened to him. But you guys are free to leave without him questioning. Now, interestingly, as you get back to the parking lot and get to the limousine, you can hear a student call out, male voice, just, "Professor?" And Professor! And he starts going towards Drake. "Professor, you weren't at class this evening. People were worried, they didn't know where you were."
Vivian, how do I do that thing?
Gathered the reports, everyone's portfolios. I've put them in a folder. I was supposed to give it to you at your apartment, but you okay, Professor? You seem a little pale.
Yes. Took on a bit of an illness last night. I just came in to do some paperwork and checks. I'll be off for a little while, but thank you so much. I'll make sure this is handed off and get a substitute in. Hopefully, if I can't find one, maybe I could do some online work for all of you, but either way, thank you.
Of course, he hands you the papers. He looks at the other people you're with. I guess I'll head out.
Nora's got the obvious predator thing going on.
So
she's not remembering to blink.
Oh God.
He's looking around, and then he sees Nora. And you see him visibly shake and some drops of cold sweat. Like he's staring at a dangerous animal. Yeah, it's Adrian.
Look, with a bit more tension this time, now that he kind of rethought about the night before. Adrian, just forget about this. And I'm gonna cloud memory here.
There's a daze to him. And Vivian, you know that Drake has about 2 seconds to get out of Dodge, so you can kind of just push him into the car. Sorry. I'm bothering you guys. Sorry. And then he sees Nora again. Like, sorry. And he just stumbles over his feet and starts running.
What was up with him?
Get in the car.
You're a little unsettling, Nora.
Unsettling?
To your prey, yes.
I see.
I guess you're just more vampire than others, maybe. That's what goes on in your head. But now that you're in the vehicle again and allowed to leave the premises, where to next?
What? Let's surveil
Follow Nora's lead.
surveil Nora's leads, given the extensive timestamps and patterns. We should know where we need to be right now, so let's try to surveil that area.
So Nora, it is Wednesday going on Thursday. It's about 10 p.m., which means right around this time, he should be in the local nightclub. There's 3 different nightclubs that he frequents, but because of the time and the day in the week, he would be in a club called the Red Room. The issue with this only arises to Vivian when you arrive there, because this is where Nora's pointing you to. As soon as Nora gives you the proper direction, you realize she's pointing you to the Red Room. Problem is, the Red Room is someone else's domain. This and the entire block surrounding it is owned by someone, which means that actions undertaken within the Red Room require approval. Now, being around this block requires approval, requires some level of approval. The Toreador that owns it is of a particularly low generation. 7th. Her name is Sophia. She watches over it. The Red Room is more of a gentleman's club-esque kind of place, but very classy. And Sophia takes care of her domain very well, and she is one of the elders of this city, one of the more powerful kindred you could encounter. So how do you go about it, given that this is the location? Of course, in a couple of hours, Nora knows that the timestamp changes. But for now, you're here.
You're sure he goes here?
Yes, and he should only be here for a couple more hours, so should probably hurry.
Yes, let's let us intercept him somewhere about a block or 2 from here on the way to his next destination. Where does he go after that bar?
Typically south.
Okay, yeah, we'll hold just outside of domain, basically in the path from the Red Room to his next destination.
The path to his next destination is, well, free territory, at least. The next destination, as far as Nora knows, in a couple of hours, by the time it hits like 1 a.m., is going to be a local motel. So, you can intercept them there. The motel itself is not owned, but the subterranean level of that motel belongs to the Nos. It's one of the many, and it's one of the only known entrances to their cavern network below. So best not to let it reach the motel. Now, while waiting here, there is a couple of hours before anything happens. Any discussion as to what you're going to do when you find him? If you find him.
So, any of y'all work out?
Not physically.
Right.
I ran a pretty mean photography account online, but that's the most I ever did.
Right. Okay. Well, if we all grab him together, maybe we can be stronger than one lonely Malkavian. We don't have a stake. We have an hour. We should find or make a stake. We should stake him and then take him to a safe room and get information.
Okay, stake sounds good. Maybe I can be a lookout and give you the heads up of when to jump out at him. And someone else can be holding the stake.
I assume they're not wholesale. We probably have to make one.
Well, there are places you can buy them that we would not want to go to because they would be the ones looking for us.
Ah.
I don't know where any of them are, thankfully. Let's hope we continue to avoid them. But yes, it's making our own.
I've made a prop or two in my day. If we get some wood, I could probably get it cut up, I suppose.
I've got some experience sharpening tools.
Perhaps we should split
Then
up.
let's make a few.
It's easier for him not to notice us if we are not together.
That's true. So I imagine Nora intercepts it first, and the other three of us ambush.
Nora can go invisible-ish, right? If you do your weird thing, that might help.
You're muted.
You call it her weird thing, yet you remember your eyes glow like a wolf, and we haven't found your other powers yet. I wouldn't throw around the weird word accusingly.
I didn't realize other powers were on the table, actually, so, okay. Apologies, Nora.
So,
Did we just look around for some wood?
Maybe there's a...
Oh, sorry. There's no shortage of broken furniture left by dumpsters around here. So you can find like old wooden chairs that you can break off the legs and try to sharpen, but sharpening them requires some effort. So if any of you have at least a dot in craft, if you could roll craft and dexterity for me, that would be great.
I'm on it.
See if it works out. So at the very least, you can come up with one sharpened slab of wood, just chipping away with what seems to be a Swiss knife, a Swiss Army knife, just kind of trying your best until you get to sharpen it. But you have one. until your 2 hours are up.
I can improve this roll in a way, right? Is it? It's blood
Yes,
surge,
if you'd
is it?
like to. No, it's willpower. You'll be spending a point of your willpower if you'd like to. So
Yeah, absolutely.
you can right-click
Yeah,
the
blood
result of the
would be
roll.
before a roll.
So you can right-click the roll and then click willpower reroll, and then you may select up to 3 dice to reroll. Just click on them and then roll it again. So
Brutal.
with the willpower, that is 2. With the willpower, that's a bit better. You can have at least 2 stakes, well sharpened. So
We'll take it.
with 2 stakes and a hope and a prayer, who are holding the stakes? Who's holding them while Nora is invisible, or is Nora holding one?
I think the obfuscated Malkavian should probably have one as an emergency backup. And then going based purely off of stereotypes, which is all Viv has right now, the Gangrel gets the other one, since the Bruja isn't a Bruja after all.
So the 2 of you have stakes. Nora, I will need a rouse check to activate your unseen passage, your ability to go unnoticed. Ooh, okay, so like I said, hunger works in a way of, well, you'll begin to notice as you use that ability and people stop noticing you. You walk across the street, people don't see you. Along the pavements, people don't see you. But as you take position in an alley you know is going to be crossed by this man, it's not just an increase in the pounding in the back of your head. You hear the subtlest of voices, one of them in your head. And every mortal, every kind that you see walking across the street, you can hear their blood pumping. You can hear their blood flowing through their veins like it's a river. You can hear it. You can hear the heartbeat. And you can hear something in your head whispering ever so slightly to you, like a very close humming in your ear. Eat them. They're food. We're hungry. We need to feed.
I want to fight it as best I can I?
You can. You don't have to follow it. But it's there, urging you.
Another thing, since we're all in position and no one can see me, may I exit the alley?
Yes, you can. Without question. What are you doing?
Since I am invisible, I am going to go back up the path that we came a little ways.
Okay.
And wait for him further up the road.
Okay. Waiting by the street corner. Of course, the others don't know this, so, you know, as far as you know, Vivian's in the alley. But the more you walk past these mortals, the more you can hear it. Please. We're hungry. That one. He takes good care of his blood, I know it. He's so healthy. His heart is strong. Feed. Please. You have to actively fight it off until it eventually dies down. You're in control, but hungry. You are up the alley. In about a minute, you know, your timelines are obviously within 5 to 10 minutes, give or take. Then about a minute or two after your designated time of 1-ish, he's not leaving. There's no one coming out of the club. Perhaps the routine has changed? That's unusual, though. He's been like that for the better part of 2 months. You can wait a little more. But he's not showing up. 30 minutes pass and not there. However, while the others are still in wait, unsure of Nora's exact timeline. It is not yet quite 1 a.m. Nora, you hear a voice behind your head, and this time it's not in your head, it's behind you. My sweet, are you waiting for me? And you realize he can see you.
Yeah. I spin around and break concealment.
How lovely to see you wait for me. But you shouldn't be here.
Well, where else would I be? You're my master, my sire. Aren't you supposed to teach me the ways? Why did you leave me?
It's all part of a design. He looks at the stake. I see they've indoctrinated you. Very good.
I don't think that's true. I only took one so that the others wouldn't have it.
You see, you have a role to play. And that role is for them.
Well,
Play the good little girl.
I will, but if you want to live, I wouldn't recommend going the way you usually do.
I had no intention to. But blood calls to blood, and I found you here. So, this is what you'll do. Inform them. Go to the docks on the south side by Lake Michigan. Take whatever boat you can find and sail it to the direction of Detroit. Along the way, not far from the dock, you will find a yacht floating about in the middle of the lake. You will find someone there. He gives this strange, sinister smile. Find them and deal with them how you see fit.
Yes, sir.
Good. Good girl. Now, off you go. I have a busy night ahead of me. As do you. He taps you on the shoulder before walking past you, and in your vision, you are aware that the others had to look away from you. But within your vision, he disappears. Out of sight. What do you do?
Nora's just gonna head back to the alley.
So,
unconcealed. I'm going to act as if something has happened.
the rest of you find Nora approaching from farther north than she should have been stationed.
Any minute now. Any minute now. Hold up. That's Nora.
Not where she was supposed to be.
Nora, what's happened?
I had a suspicion, and I think it's correct. I believe he's going somewhere else tonight. I might have missed it in my patterns.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the Malkavian clan, and Vivian is too aware of it, they're prone to getting visions, voices, and lapses that are often correct but extremely unpredictable. So unfortunately, this is very on brand for her. Sorry, you're
You're
muted.
muted.
But you left your post.
I had to. There were voices.
What look is on Nora's face as they come back? And they conceal their
Frenzied.
happiness? Just frenzied? Mm.
Yeah, as if like some terrible thing is happening.
While I am still responsible for your actions, you can come to tell me about your voices, and we can determine a course of action. Do not follow them on your own, please.
I'm
I
sorry.
am asking this time.
It won't happen again.
And the way she arches her eyebrow with that, I'm asking this time, and remembering what she did to the guard, and remembering how you felt when the prince gave you a compulsion, you're assuming that that's what she means.
All right.
Well, we don't really have very many options left then, do we?
Not particularly. So the three are likely working together, either autarchus or otherwise independent, possibly anarch. I'm not sure that the Sabbat still exist, but I suppose that's within the realm of possibility. I remember tales my sire told me of the earlier days when the Sabbat would mass embrace and leave the fledglings in effectively an open grave and force them to fend for themselves. So it's not completely unlike this scenario. But I'm not even sure that they still exist. I heard that the Second Inquisition fairly well routed them. So it's probably anarchs, despite Dusselbach's insistence that it's not. It could be independence, though.
Do the Anarchs have a connection to the docks?
What docks?
I don't know. Is that where your vision has you lead?
Yes.
Very well, I suppose we should investigate.
All right. So,
Cautiously.
a drive to the docks won't take long from where you're going. You were specifically told the docks by the south side, near Hyde Park. The issue here is where you're going to get a boat. But there's so far nothing in the docks pertain to any kind of vampiric qualities. What's next? Laura?
Did he say that there would be a boat left?
Oh no, he
A
told you
left-
that it's up to you to find a boat to use, however you wish.
Ah.
But the idea was to take the boat to Lake Michigan on the way to Detroit, that the general direction, and you'll come across a boat just floating there.
Can anybody hijack a boat?
I thought you said that your premonition led you to the docks. There seems to be nothing here, not even a boat. Why would we need a boat?
Well, it's not just the docks, it's further than that.
All right. Nora takes out, or Vivian takes out an old school Razor style flip phone. And hold on.
You're at resources 4. It's not uncommon for you to owe
I don't have a retainer or contacts.
You don't.
So
but
I don't know if there's any boat rental agencies open at this time of night to make the call.
Vivian.
No, but please go ahead.
I've done some shoots with some folks on their boats before. I may know someone who could potentially come drop something off for us. Since I do have contact.
Oh, excellent.
Too.
They would be well reimbursed for their time, no problem.
Great. So, combination of Drake's contact and Nora's resources, I will only need Drake to roll persuasion and then click your manipulation.
That's it.
Given how much money Nora can throw around at this, 1 will be enough. It takes them doing an hour before someone finally agrees, and a courier delivers a key to Drake in exchange for a hard stack of cash. But you have access to a small yacht. Not the best, but it is a boat that's docked there so far. One of the few.
You say small yacht and then not the best, as if it's not still a yacht.
Well, in terms of yachts.
Vivian knows exactly what he means by that.
From Vivian's perspective, this is passable.
This
It's
might as well
seaworthy.
be a dinghy, but it'll suffice.
It's
It might as well be
seaworthy.
a dinghy, but it'll suffice.
So, you guys can get in. Like I said, Vivian probably has enough resources that I would say you know how to work a yacht. Just probably not as an expert without those drive dots, but at least you know how to make it run and just properly cruise along the river. Along the way, as you make your way past the river, you're not really sure what you're looking for until 5 minutes into the water, heading towards the direction of Detroit. You do see in the horizon a boat that's just floating in the middle of Lake Michigan. It's just there.
Is this where your vision is leading us, Nora?
I think so.
Does the boat look unusual from the distance we are?
It looks like a one-person boat. Meaning one person can drive it, use it at any point. It's about the size of your boat, just a little smaller. But from where you are right now, you're just seeing the silhouette almost. Unless you wish to get closer now.
You see, Vivian, it could have been worse.
Yes, I suppose.
You approach?
Just to warn you all, there's supposed to be someone there.
There's
Supposed to.
someone there. Okay. Well,
You move forward?
Morgan's going to take his
do.
stake back out.
Oh god,
Why
that's
is-
right, you guys have those. I'm gonna go find something. Drake's gonna go look around the boat for anything.
Fire gun or something.
There's
A
a
decorative harpoon, perhaps?
not a decorative one, but there is a harpoon. So you could always snap that off. And this time you don't even have to craft it. You can just, if you snap it properly, it'll be pointed by nature.
Wait, yours is
and
better than mine.
and there'll be two of them.
Looks like you
There will be
finally
two.
reached the Iron Age.
So, 2 makeshift stakes, 2 semi-carved stakes. You're approaching the boat. As you make your approach, the boat doesn't move. It's floating. In fact, it's anchored. So, the engine is off, the anchor has been released, and it's just sort of floating amongst the subtle waves. However, the windows that would normally lead to the inside are blacked out. If Vivian were to take a closer look, this resembles a makeshift haven of sorts. Once you board the boat, I'm assuming, unless you guys ram it, your call. Would you prefer to ram the boat?
As tempting as that is, Vivian knows that they will survive just fine underwater at the bottom of Lake Michigan because it's deep enough. Yeah. No, let's board
Approach.
carefully, quietly as we can. And
the problem with yachts is that they're not very quiet. Once you approach, the engine starts to flutter.
Morgan, you probably want to turn your eyes on.
Oh, yeah. I'll blink a few times and my eyes come yellow over, seeing if I can pick up any details that will give us any advantage on trying to get onto the boat.
You see it very clearly, so you can at least see your boat is roughly the same height. So once you position it next to it, it's not that hard to get on the rail and then land on the other boat. You can very much do it carefully. Now, once you are on this boat, you can hear someone scribbling on notes, like very aggressively writing on paper. And paper getting torn from notebooks, that page-tearing sound as he's throwing things around and continues to scribble. There's someone here. There's only one place, by the way. Like, you've got the edge of the boat, and then there's a staircase leading to a door, and that's about all the size this boat has. Doors closed, no window inside.
Would my silence of death apply to a jump?
Yes. Apply to any movement you make, will not make a sound. Do you want to be the one that opens the door?
Yeah.
Do you want to be unseen as well?
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Make another rouse. See how well that works out.
Yes.
Okay. Vivian Nora once again disappears. But the door slightly opens. Slowly. For Nora, as long as you don't make a sound louder than a whisper, and Silence of Death helps with that, you'll stay invisible. Or until you attack something. So for the rest of you, the door just opens. Maybe the wind, probably Nora. But you'll see a man frantically writing notes. His hair is a bit frazzled. Looking around.
What was it that my sire had said? I was supposed to
deal with him however you want to.
Okay. I'm going to sneak up behind him the best I very can and raise my stake.
Would the rest of you like to do anything, since you're not seeing Nora?
Yes, Vivian will call out to him. Stop. Try to get his attention to look at me.
Okay.
So that's not a compel because I don't have eye contact yet, but trying to make eye contact so that I can.
But he does, before looking at you, he's writing down, close, very close, unusual notes. Things happening. Must warn. Close. What? And he looks at you.
What are you doing?
You. Here. No. Unusual. Very improbable. Them? No. Anarchs? Not likely. Camarilla. Camarilla, here. See me. Camarilla wants to talk. You're Camarilla. You want to talk to me. Talk. About research? No, you don't know. About Findings.
Well, now I want to talk to you about research.
I'm like frozen stiff like this. Just
Not
sort
that
of
anyone
like-
can see you. Research. Yes. Research. Findings. New findings. Camarilla interested? Camarilla no. Camarilla dismissed. Camarilla dismissed research. Research deemed inappropriate. Unusual. Banished. Banished to water. Not allowed on land. Food. No food. Food only comes from fishermen. No. Unusual. Why is Camarilla here?
Can I lean over and look at what he's writing?
He's writing various... It initially looks like gibberish. But the more you look, the more you realize that he's been researching something. He's been researching blood, and he's got names of clans that Vivian mentioned the previous night, and various things are written on these papers that are somewhat familiar, but they're all written in scrambled notes. It looks like he's researching vampires. Something about them, something about the blood.
Does he look like a vampire?
Yes, you can very clearly see the fangs on him, like he's not even cognizant of it, that he can't hide it. Unusual. Camarilla here. Camarilla dismissed. Camarilla banished. Why here? Why now? What now?
Hold on. Nora, and just kind of glances around the room. Is this your sire?
I'm going to release concealment and
You were
lower
told
my
to
stake.
deal with him. It was an implication.
Yes. This is my sire.
Sire. Yes. Childer. No? Yes. Childer. Yes.
Yeah,
no.
well, then stake him.
Masquerade.
I'm gonna stake him. I'm gonna stake him.
Yeah.
Dexterity and melee, if you have it. You may.
Alright, let's see.
You may also choose to, when you click it, for example, click on melee and dexterity, you may choose to blood surge by tapping it, which will roll a hunger,
I'm
but
gonna
it'll
blood
add 2
surge.
dice. It'll add 2 dice to it.
I'll add a blood surge to it.
Go ahead. Just tick that and roll as normal. 1.
One success.
So, ordinarily you need quite a number of successes to stake someone properly, but this one is very compliant, maybe? Some things about him. He just says, yes, sire, yes, Childer. And then you just hammer the stake in. And you realize it hasn't quite gone to the heart, like it hit that bone. Not quite hard yet. No, not yet. Harder. Hammer, perhaps. If he points at a hammer by the side.
Nora will rush
Take
over
it.
and grab the hammer and try to finish the job.
Just hammer it like a nail. And his body falls lifeless. That is a perfect way to end this chronicle for the evening. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We apologize for the technical issues, and hopefully this will be sorted out by next week. Thank you for sticking with us.
Session 1.
And come back next week to see what else happens to these unfortunate souls in their traversal to undeath. Bye, and thank you for sticking with us.